Hey, we're live. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of CRL. It's Chart Request Live, the show where you provide the charts or the tickers. We provide the charts, and we have fun doing it. What's up? Spencer Israel here with Patrick Donawilla, editor of the Chart Report. Pat, what's doing?
How you doing? Looking forward to going through some tickers.
Let's do it.
Let's see some ones I haven't seen.
Okay. Well, here's a sentiment indicator for you. I always say, if you want to drop, if you have a request for us, of course, drop it in the chat. If you want to cut the line in the YouTube chat, your best bet is to email us questions@stockmarketmedia.com. We got 7 emails in the last day of ticker requests, or I guess since the last show. And of those 7 requests, 5 of them were oil energy stocks. So I'm not sure what that says. I guess maybe it says that our audience is excited about energy. Maybe.
That means they're paying attention because energy is firming up quite a bit. You had crude oil over the 200-day moving average. It's at a 3-month high. So is the energy sector. So, it's taken pretty much a whole year off. It peaked last summer and it just hasn't participated at all, despite having an awesome year last year. It's been the worst performing sector this year. So definitely kind of an interesting spot. Is it gonna put up or shut up kind of thing?
If you just look at the monthly candle of XLE, looks like this is the best month since October of last year.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Yeah. So all right, looking strong. We got 2 requests for this first one here. We'll start with ET, not the extraterrestrial, obviously. But energy transfer.
All right. So start off here in a weekly. You can zoom all the way out just to get some kind of long-term perspective here. When I draw my trend lines, I often like to start from like the second major low.
Why is that?
Sometimes the first one is just kind of a really energetic move, and you get a little further than maybe you get a little off trend, but I think I actually picked that up in a John Murphy book, one of the classic technical analysis books. But he said you often draw a trend line starting at the second major reaction. But you can see it's kind of holding on there, but it's getting awfully tight these last few weeks here, few months really. And it's kind of coming into this, shelf of overhead supply over here, getting really tight. We can drop it down into a daily here. Short-term resistance is these highs from earlier in the year here, right around 1350. I think you want to see it break that level in the near term. And if it does, that's really good. I mean, I think this entire sector is really firming up. I'm not sure what they do within the sector, if they're, exploration or pipeline manufacturer or anything like that. But it's definitely not a bad chart. I like that it's getting really kind of tight, kind of like a triangle price action that kind of suggests that a big move could be brewing.
As far as I know, energy transfer is literally just oil exploration, oil and gas, and natty gas. And distribution also. Okay. What about Marathon? Which one was it? It was Marathon Oil, MRO. That's the ticker.
MRO, nice. Yeah. Staying with these energy tickers.
Yep.
All right. So this one, the obvious level of resistance here coming up is these. To
point out, energy transfer. It says it in the name what it does, right? They transfer.
They transfer.
That's just occurring to me.
Right. So you got this level here around 33. Those were the highs from November 2022 and June when the entire sector peaked out. So if it breaks that, that's really what you want to see next. You can see it's kind of tried to break down a few times and it couldn't. So that's bullish information in itself right there. It tried to break that psychological level around 20 and get back into the teens, but it just buyers defended it. So that in itself is pretty bullish information. That kind of speaks to the fact that this is probably more of a consolidation period after a really strong trend. So if it breaks that to me would kind of signify that it's ready to resume that prior trend. And I like that it's kind of holding up above these 2018 highs too. Not a bad one.
I should point out that both ET and MRO, they both report earnings next Wednesday after the close. So
Oh yeah.
maybe have that on your radar. Let's do one more energy and then we'll move on. Eric asked about Nextera, NEE. Oh, this isn't energy. This is a utility. What am I saying? Well, utility, energy, same thing, but not really, and not at all.
So this one, it's kind of just been stalling out, consolidating, I guess you could call it. I don't love it. Let's look at it a little longer term. I mean, it's been a beast. That is a primary uptrend, no doubt. But this to me almost looks like it could be like a distributive topping pattern here. I'm not sure I'd want to get it in. We always draw bases, but they work as tops too. When you start to see these things forming rounded bases after a really extended run like this, that to me, it's kind of unclear. Is this a top, or is it just kind of a consolidation pattern here before we eventually rip? But it's got clear support at these pre-COVID highs, right around 70-ish. We can draw it in here. You can see that's pretty much where things started to decline in COVID. Finally got above it within the year. But then you can see that's just been the floor. It's been testing. And each time it tests that, you got to imagine that level's getting weaker and weaker. It does kind of validate that level, but it also raises the implications of if it breaks, So if it does get below that 70 level, I think that could be the start of kind of a major top resolving lower. So this one, it's a little sketchy looking. I think, you could, if you're a shorter term trader, you could play short term tests of this thing until it does fail, or maybe it doesn't. Maybe it just wicks in there again and rips. But that 70 level, I mean, the market's made it clear that's the line in the sand.
I think you and Wavy are on the same wavelength. You said that it better break out soon. Nextera, by the way, is the largest utility in Florida. And I see why I confused myself, because we had a request for NEE and also NFE.
Oh, okay.
And on my notes, they look the same. NFE is the last oil and gas player that I was referring to in New Fortress. And they've got the email. I think the email, who was it from? It was from Feza. And what did he say? He said something about oh no, he didn't say anything. Okay, never mind. NFE, what do you think?
All right, let's throw relative strength on here as well. So this one kind of testing these 2022 lows here, not really getting off the ground too much, for the sector picking up as much as it has, and this one really isn't too far off of its 52-week lows. I would like to see it get going a little more. Now, that being said, I like this little bullish momentum divergence that's forming. You had price make a new low here, and then RSI making higher lows here, and not even getting oversold in the last few weeks. So that's constructive. That tells me that it might be kind of forming a short-term bottom here. You have clear resistance up here in the low 60s, but I mean, that is meaningfully higher from here. So this looks like a volatile stock. You can see it's gone from 60 down to the teens again, up to 60 again, back to the 20s, teens. So if it does get going, short-term resistance, you got around 30. That could get you to around 40, but.
All right, we got a ratio chart for you.
Right.
Wavy is looking at COPX, the copper ETF, which we definitely talked about on What the Fic the other day. He wants to look at that versus the SPX and see how that's outperforming. I'm sure outperforming of late. Actually, maybe not. I'm not so sure. I don't know. Let's see what it says.
Yeah, I'm curious to see too, because commodities have been firming up quite a bit. Probably the last week or two, you've seen crude oil kind of was the first, and that's usually the largest commodity in a lot of ETFs or indexes that track commodities. So they've been picking up as a group, but it's not just crude oil. You're seeing some of the metals like steel. SLX is another great one. Wavy, I'm sure you've seen that chart too. But copper here, on a relative basis, not a ton to say here. I mean, really just kind of range bound for the last 2 years, without any clear trend in place. If the ratio gets above this, this shelf here that's acted as resistance for like the past 8 years or so, 7, 8 years, that would kind of tell me that copper miners are ready to really start outperforming. But until then, it's just kind of, it's hard to have conviction when the ratio is just going sideways like that.
Yeah.
So that's tough. But on an absolute basis, I think copper looks pretty good here, and it does probably offer you some diversification, away from just stocks that move together. Now I know this one is copper mining companies, so you're still dealing with stocks, but it does still offer you a little bit of diversification. It's not just your tech stocks and things like that.
Okay, to the chat we go. Any requests, drop them in there. We'll go in chronological order until I say otherwise. We'll start at the top. H. Chan is asking about STN, Stantec, which I don't know what sector this is, but it's an sustainable engineering, architecture, and environmental consulting company.
Interesting. Okay. Interesting. So what, like green energy consulting? What is it in, like the professional sector or the
I honestly don't know.
Services?
I honestly don't know.
Interesting. So well, it looks like this one broke out of a nice little base here earlier this year in February. That level was around 56, 57, and it's taken off nicely here. If we draw a little Fibonacci thing, we can kind of see how far we expect it to get up there. Okay, so it's kind of approaching Fibonacci resistance there, but really nice chart. I mean, it's in blue sky territory and just continuing to go towards those Fibonacci price targets. I like this one. I think you got to watch out for this 69.70 level. That one could be resistance in the short term. I mean, if I had bought this breakout, I totally would have used that as my price target. So hard to start a position here. Now, if it just kind of breaks above this, then you're looking at a move to probably 86. But I would expect a little bit of pause there and just maybe consolidation. But other than that, really strong uptrend.
Okay, here's one that's not in a really strong uptrend. For James Anderson, Delta Airlines. He wants to know, is it breaking down or is this a good entry point?
All right, Delta. So
actually, I guess it isn't kind of a strong is a relative term if you just look at the last couple of months, I guess, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm looking at the last few years.
Well, do you remember a few weeks ago, this thing had like a 16-day winning streak. We've been talking about this winning streak in the Dow, but this thing was nuts. I think it was right around here.
Yeah, May, June. Yeah, May and June were pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on there. I know the entire group kind of got to pick up, and Delta is one of the largest in a lot of those airline ETFs like jets and stuff like that. But this one, if you had to be long an airline, I think this might be one of them. And the group is heating up for the first time in a while, along with transports more broadly too. If you look at DJT, the Dow Jones Transports, it's actually pretty close to an all-time high. But Delta, I like that it's holding this little shelf of resistance, or former resistance, now support. That's important that it's kind of turned into support. Right around 46, 45-ish level, we can draw it in here. I think you want to see that continue. You could kind of lean on that in the short term if you're trading against this, maybe have an out at 45 or so, and maybe target 51 or so, these March 2021 highs. Not bad, but as a group, airlines have really struggled since COVID. For obvious reasons, probably, but I think, if it can hold this 45, you want to look for 51 as your kind of next target, and then from there, we're talking about the all-time highs, I believe all-time highs. But either way, the pre-COVID highs around 62.
I don't have a strong take on Delta per se, but I would just say if you do want to own an airline, I would just look at the airlines against each other and see which, because they are. They are correlated, but there tends to always be leaders and laggards. Delta, as you said, is probably the leader of the bunch.
Yeah, and we
What?
could actually
Yeah.
look at this one on a relative basis too. So here's
Yeah.
Delta versus Jets, the entire sector. You can see it's kind of uh, pretty much all-time highs on a relative basis. So that's good. I mean, like you said, if you had to be long an airline, this might be one of them. I
Yep.
know Spirit is one that showed up on our scans recently as well. Not as good. You can see these things have just been a mess
Is
for years.
is Spirit's buying JetBlue, I think.
Are they?
I believe so. Or they're trying to buy JetBlue. I don't know if it hasn't gone through yet, obviously, but they're trying. All right. What about for Eric Gonzalez OVV?
Ovintiv. What is this one? Is this a energy?
I don't actually know.
All right. So I mean, it kind of looks like
Let's find out.
it might be an energy because a lot of these energy stocks, they had this waterfall decline during the pandemic when the world shut down and crude oil went negative. That was a weird day. But they just got completely thrown out. And then you saw massive, massive rebound. So I guess this thing's an energy stock.
Yes, it is.
You might have to double check on that one. But
yeah.
I like that it's holding this low right here. You kind of got support here around 32. I think in the near term, you want to see it work back towards last year's highs here around 60, 61. So if it can clear that would be kind of a nice resolution from this consolidation it's been in for the past year or so, 2 years.
Surprise guest in our chat, unless it's an impersonator, Steve Straza. I'm pretty sure is somewhere over the Pacific Ocean right now.
Well, if it's Steve Straza, if it is the real Steve Straza, I know he wants to see this one. This is Interactive Brokers. He was talking about Steve's over in Asia right now, and he was talking about how everyone he talks to there just loves this stock. And it actually showed up on our Buzz scan a couple days ago. We laid out a trade idea on it, but this one, boy, I mean, you kind of got like a little inverted head and shoulders. You could call this a base, but either way, really nice uptrend here. So this is one that we here at the Chart Report and All-Star Charts, Steve Straza, we like this one. This one's caught our eye recently.
Okay, Snap, not Snap, sorry, Wing of Tech. Yeah, he wants to know about Snap. He said 3M or Snap. We can do either, but why do you want to be a hero in Snap here? Because that's what this is to me. It's being a hero.
Yeah, I'm not sure you want to step in front of this one. I mean, this is kind of catching a falling knife. And, I think the more telling thing with this stock is if you go to a site like Datarama, can I leave TradingView for a second?
Let's see. Yeah.
So this site, this is good for like insider ownership. But if you look at some of the insider sells on this thing in the past couple of years, it is really something. It's like something like over $1 billion, I want to say. Maybe we have to go back 2 years. Okay, 500 million, still a lot. Might have to go back a little further than that, but that to me is just it's pretty telling. But this thing has just been in a really, really nasty downtrend, probably one of the worst major social media stocks. But you can see a gap down after earnings like that. It's kind of trying to bottom out here. But on a relative basis, maybe for a short-term trader, you could try to play this one, but I don't really see what there is to like about this one.
Yeah, just a disaster earnings report.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Not great. Okay, what about KLAC? This is for Rahul. Let's go to the semis, the chips.
Oh man, great chart. Wow. I haven't looked at this one in a few weeks.
Me neither.
Man. Whew. I mean,
big company that I tend to always forget about.
Yeah. And they're a semi, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously we had that nice prior uptrend when I zoomed out there. But this is really your level you want to watch, like 450, even down to 430, I'd say. This is kind of a really important level here. And I like that you're consolidating above it here. That kind of tells me that it's kind of gearing up. It used up a lot of energy to get up there, but now it's kind of taking a break, pausing above the former highs, above the breakout level. I think that's important. And now you're seeing a resolution, all-time highs again today. If we use Fibonacci, which again, I like to use when something's in blue sky territory and there's no price memory, we're talking 585 on this move. That's something I would use as a target. So, I mean, that's from here, that's about 18.5% higher from here. So this one's a really nice one. Raul, very nice eyes here.
What about this is for who asked about this next one? Frida did. Frida, AJRD, Aerojet Rocketdyne. This is the aerospace and defense company that makes aerospace and defense products.
Well, this is a weird chart. It almost looks like this is the kind of action you tend to see when a stock is like a takeover target, or there's some M&A activity, because usually there's like a deal price that that traders are kind of trading the stock around, and you kind of get that pinning action.
Like good instinct, Pat. They are being they do have a pending agreement to be acquired. What's the takeover price? L3 Harris.
Okay.
Ticker there is LHX. And I see a headline from yesterday, actually. They were advised that the FTC will not block their acquisition. So I'm assuming, based on where it's trading at right now, the takeover price is somewhere around $59.
Right.
Let's see.
Now it looks like they also reported today.
$58. $58. I was close.
Either they report
$58 is the takeover price. Earnings don't matter. They're being acquired.
Right. So, exactly. And to be honest with you, and I hate to say this, I can't believe I'm saying this, but technicals don't matter on an M&A target like this, because, like you said, they're negotiating deal prices. I will say, normally in a deal like that, in an acquisition, you tend to see them try to get the stock acquired at all-time highs. That they just, that's obviously great for the shareholders. It's the high watermark. It's the highest price that shareholders have seen. So you tend to see a lot of deals happen at the all-time high price, but that's more just anecdotal.
If you own AJRD, you can sell it today and get what you get, or you can not sell it at all ever and have your broker deposit the cash for you in your account, because they will close the trade for you when the deal closes. So there's really no trade to be made here. It's trading at 58. It's being bought at 58. So you really forget about this one. It's over.
They got a cool name though. I'll say that. Aerojet Rocketdyne.
They do. Oh, thank you, Ken K. I didn't look at KLA as earnings tonight. Good to know. What about? Let's do a couple more here. What's this one? INMD, InMode, Indigo, Nancy, Mary, Delta.
Let's just go back to KLAC real quick.
Sure.
I do think, you guys said we had earnings today. That's a pretty interesting move, though. You got to gap up and
I think it's tonight. Is that what you said? Let's see.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like ahead of earnings, that's kind of an interesting. That's some interesting price action. Gap up. You got this gap and go.
Well, I can tell you why that is. It's because Lam Research had earnings this morning, and a lot of times these companies will move with their peers, right? So, it is telling that it is gapping up ahead of the report. But Lam Research is kind of taking the whole sector with it today.
Okay.
Sometimes that can mean that KLA will have, let's say they come out with great numbers. It's very possible that the stock just goes down because the move was today. Like the gains that would have happened tomorrow just happened today because of Lam Research. So
it gets priced in, like any benefits that Lam might have said kind of gets priced in. Which, by the way, I'm looking at Lam here.
Yeah.
Fantastic looking chart on the verge of a breakout here. You got earnings out of the way too. Wow. That's a really nice one.
Yeah.
But sorry, which one did you mention before?
INMD, InMode. They had earnings this morning,
Okay.
right? Yes, they had earnings this morning, and the stock is up a measly 1%. Is that right?
Well, hey, it's not down. So this one, you got a really clear level right here. This is very, very clear. Now support was resistance for the majority, actually really the last year. You can see it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, numerous rejections there. You broke out, is a really decisive breakout. Then you got a little bull flag here, just tight, high and tight consolidation. That's really constructive. Now it looks like it's trying to resolve out of that what is that 2-week consolidation there. I think as long as it's breaking that little bull flag there, you want to look towards like 53 on this move. So that's decently higher. From there, I would say probably 60, but this one definitely heating up a little bit. Remind me what this does again, what they do.
InMode?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I don't know. Let's look it up. They do minimally invasive surgical, so medical devices, but for minimally invasive surgery. Looks
okay.
like
It's like looks
like for plastic surgery, dermatology, gynecology, ophthalmology, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, I got one for you.
Sweet.
Take a QS today, QuantumScape. This is
Okay.
I have to admit, I forgot the stock existed. It was one of the darlings of the back half of 2021, or sorry, 2020. 2020. You had to go back 3 years to this thing. But it was an IPO, I believe. Actually, no, I think it was a SPAC. It was a SPAC. It was a SPAC, and it went to $132 a share. And obviously, that was a long time ago. But I forgot this stock existed until this morning because it gapped up, spiked up from $9 yesterday to $13 this morning. Now we're off as high as now. But this is a lithium. This is a battery charging or battery electric battery company, and that's what they do. And I'd be curious to get your take on it because I forgot this one existed until a few hours ago.
Yeah, so these are kind of the post IPO or post SPAC lows right here, right around 11, well, call it $12, right? And once we broke through them last year, you can see it's kind of struggled to get back above it, and it's trying today. Looks like we had earnings today, right? I don't know if you mentioned that.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that's why the stock is up, but yes.
Okay. Yep. Last night. So yeah, gapped up this morning. Kind of interesting action intraday, went all the way up here to above 13 and kind of drilled into these former highs. Maybe it caught some overhead supply there, and it's kind of back down below that level. So we'll see how it closes, and more importantly, how it closes the week. But definitely interesting. It looks like it does want to break that level. And if it does, you can see it's kind of coming out of this 2-year downtrend. So that could get kind of interesting. I'm not sure what short interest is on this thing, but I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing go back to 20. I mean, I think if it gets above 12 gets you 20. I don't think that's cold.
On stocks that are going parabolic like this, I always like to look at the intraday chart. And I think you want to see it close at least in the ballpark of the high of it. Doesn't have to be at the high of the day, right? But at least like make it near the high of the day. Like the high of the day today is 13.25, right? 13.26. So we're basically at the midpoint of the range of the day right now. You don't want to see this thing go down to like $10, right? That's not right. That's not what you want.
Usually when they reverse, like they reverse hard. So I mean, if it goes all the way down and fills this gap, that'd be concerning. And that usually tells you like earnings reversals can be really powerful moves. So this one, I would be interested to see how it closes. But
right. Well, last one for you, Pat. This is for me also. Let's look at Meta real fast. This is sure. Popping off their earnings report last night. Just a total complete V bottom on both the weekly and the monthly.
I was going to say the monthly.
Weekly is more for you.
I don't think we've had a down month since stocks bottom. Yeah, for Meta. Look at that.
I think you're right. Weekly is more of a U. Monthly is straight up V. I mean, what do you think?
9 months in a row. That's crazy. So I mean, this, yeah, like you said, it's been a beast. I think we could run into a little bit of overhead supply from this whole thing. You know, a lot of people in here trying to buy this initial dip back in 2022 when it was first on sale, really. But then those people were punished pretty badly and had to sit through a really nasty drawdown. So now that it's all the way back, a lot of those early dip buyers who were murdered, you know, they might, and you got to imagine this whole time they're just praying, 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 just get me back to break even, just get me back to break even, just get me back, and you're back. So they might be inclined to sell. That could cause some pressure. I don't know that it will just rip through all this and just go straight to test the all-time highs. It certainly could. I mean, it's certainly got some momentum behind it, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it kind of just consolidate here, absorb that overhead supply, and then go up and test the all-time highs. I think it could use a little bit of digestion here, and that'd be perfectly healthy. Perfectly healthy. You can see beautiful gap up and then kind of sold off intraday, but it's closing these gaps that it made on the way down. And I think that's really, really constructive. Just seeing it fill those gaps on the way back up is really important.
Speaking of holding on and waiting for the stock to come back, I saw Airbnb, which my cost, I want to find out when I bought it. My cost basis was $153 and it hit 153 this morning. I don't think it's there at the moment, but when did I buy this thing? I can't find the date. The Fidelity app is always being redesigned. I don't know how to find shit. But anyway, I bought it. I bought it at 153, and it hit 153 today. So
nice.
Good for me, I guess. I rode it all the way down, all the way back. All right, I'm not going to sell. So that'll be our show, everyone. Thanks for the requests. As always, you can always email us questions at stockmarketmedia.com. We'll be back on Tuesday. If you have any requests, get them in. And Pat, thanks a lot, man. As always,
thank you guys. This is fun as always.
All right, see you guys.
Take care.